Professional wrestling, one of the best forms of entertainment in existence. I believe everyone should give professional wrestling a try, and I know you'll all enjoy watching it. Since my dad introduced me to watching wrestling in 2014, I have watched way too many shows on TV and been to over a dozen live events, so I know a fair amount about pro wrestling. This picture was taken with me and my parents at an episode of All Elite Wrestling Dynamite from this January I went to. I even had tickets to go to WrestleMania this year before coronavirus came and ruined all of that. So before I tell you why I love wrestling, let me first address the elephant in the room. Is pro wrestling fake? It's a question every wrestling fan has been asked dozens of times. And the answer is yes. Wrestling is fake. But that's what makes it so great. I personally can't stand watching real sports. It's too boring and you're never guaranteed of anything good happening. But what I love to watch are good stories. And that's what wrestling is. It's an exhibition of stunts and fight scenes to tell a story, like any good action movie. There are three main aspects of wrestling that make it stand out against other entertainment options. The first is the sheer athleticism and skill the performers can have. Although the endings and events are scripted and planned, the trust, timing, and dedication the wrestlers have is immense to be able to create moments such as the one you are about to see. Action that fast and impressive simply doesn't happen in other TV shows. The next feature of wrestling that makes it better than anything else is its long-term storytelling potential. In any movie, if a film wants to show a character has been fighting to achieve their goals for years, the film will just tell us that, or use some montage. But because wrestling's characters exist in the same world on the same timeline as we do, we see every moment of their story. The Undertaker had a 21-year undefeated streak at WrestleMania. And unique to wrestling is that fans that are old enough were able to be there and personally see each and every one of those years of dominance, leading to real heartbreak and emotion. Real heartbreak and emotion when he finally did lose that other forms of art just can't compete with. Or to take an example more personal to me, look at my favorite wrestler, Cody Rhodes. I have been watching wrestling long enough to see his entire journey, from when he was forced to play the character of a weird alien cult guy to leaving the WWE to start his own company. Being able to see all of this happen in real time leads to a connection to the characters that other forms of media do not have. This brings me to the final key point of wrestling: it's interactive. I first saw Cody 4 years ago, where he interacted with our chants. And since then, I've seen him 3 more times. And I've even been able to meet him outside of the ring and have real conversations with somewhat of a fictional character who's also a real person. As it was with the time when I ran into him outside of Universal. Once I even sat front row at a show where I was insulted by one of the bad guys with language I can't repeat here. At some shows like this one I went to in Tampa, the crowd is even more involved. In the last match of the night, a ladder match, we were told by one of the wrestlers to move shortly before a body went flying into right about here, where I used to be sitting. After that, I was standing and having to move out of the way of bodies going left and right because my chair I was using the rest of the night was in the ring being used as a weapon. While this is a rather extreme example, it shows that the person watching wrestling live can interact with and change the direction of a story in a way completely different to other live entertainment. In movies, if you don't like a character arc, there's nothing really you can do about it. But in wrestling, when fans were tired of Daniel Bryan being put down and not winning, they kept cheering for him over and over until the company was forced to listen and gave him the main event. This allows a deeper connection to the story and characters, which makes wrestling the most someone can possibly care about their entertainment. Now, wrestling has tons of variety, and different companies can serve massively different interests. The most widespread and accessible company is WWE, or World Wrestling Entertainment. It's been around for years, and while many fans such as myself can find what they do boring or repetitive, they've recently developed the strongest and best women's wrestling division in the world. If you want a faster paced and, in my opinion, better alternative to WWE, then you can try AEW, or All Elite Wrestling. That's where many of the examples I've told you about today have come from. If wrestling seems too silly for you, then you could try the realistic and more sports-feeling Japanese promotion, New Japan Pro Wrestling. Over on the opposite end, you have Lucha Underground. It can be found on Netflix and offers a crazy over-the-top story involving murders, magic, and time travel. It's weird. All of these companies have been making some of their best matches and storylines completely free online because of the quarantine. So with all the new free time you have, there's no better time to get into wrestling than now. But I get it. For some people, it's hard to get into just a TV show. Luckily for us, Florida Southern College is located in Central Florida, the home of one of the best wrestling companies in the world, NXT. NXT often runs small shows that are less than a 15-minute drive from campus, and they're cheap, only $10. For less than the cost of a movie ticket, you could be getting 4 hours of live entertainment from some of the best wrestlers in the world at the peak of their craft, doing things like this. So, since this quarantine has given you more free time than ever, use some of that time to give pro wrestling a shot, and you'll be able to enjoy the most interactive and emotional form of storytelling in the world.